Okay, so today we are talking about donation forms and we are talking about not gift processing, um, donors covering transaction costs, right? So there's a whole bunch of different options. We get this question all the time. I'm so excited we were able to dedicate a webinar to it. So this is for you if you are a database administrator or a VP of advancement or a frontline fundraiser and you're trying to decide donation forms. Do we use OLX? Do we use NXT? What's changed about them? What's this I've heard about donor cover and complete cover and all of those things, okay? So that's today. For those folks who haven't been on our webinar before, and I see most of the folks, I look through and I just love seeing all familiar faces and names here. But if this is your first time, so the obligatory 30 seconds on why you should trust what we're saying, or should you trust what we're saying. As background, we all work at this company called PSG. PSG does fundraising consulting. We do run annual appeals, multi-million-dollar annual appeals for very large clients. We also do a whole bunch of Razor's Edge database administration, which is what Jen and Lauren do for us. We do so much of it, in fact, that we are the largest user of Razor's Edge on planet Earth. PSG, the team that we put together, we manage millions of records in Razor's Edge. As a byproduct of that, we've gotten really, really good at it, right? And we can tell you the unvarnished truth about what's working and what's not working. And we can put on a ton of free webinars like this just to kind of help the community, which is something we all love to do. Many of you might know us because we've gotten really involved in fundraising automation. So in the course of doing a whole bunch of Razor's Edge database administration, we got really good at using something called Power Automate, and then we started building stuff on our own to do some crazy, amazing automations. We're not really talking about that today, but I just want to bring it up because a lot of people know us from that. So you might have been led here because you're an Automate Genius client, one of the folks on the screen or one of the hundreds of others. It's something we're very passionate about. If you want to know more about it, I'm sure there's a chance for you to sign up for a newsletter or get a demo or something. But that's background on us. You're used to seeing these two beautiful ladies here, Austin Brown, Stacy Koch. We gave them the day off. They are too busy. They are literally swamped with automation work. We said, nope, you cannot attend the webinar today. We're going to have Jen and Lauren come in and sit in, and we're keeping them hard at work in the mines building automations for a whole bunch of clients because Andy never stops selling automation.
It's true. They are here though. I did see them in the chat, so they did not listen to you, Nate.
back to work. Just listen in the side. We get back to work on the automations. Okay, donation forms. Oh crap. See, Stacy's not here. She always reminds me to do the housekeeping stuff. Housekeeping. Yes, we are recording this webinar. Yes, we will send it out. Rob says we'll send it out by the end of today. So if you don't get it by the end of today, Rob is the guy on the screen to focus your ire on. So we'll send out the links. We'll probably mention a bunch of other webinars. We usually include those links as well. So anytime you see one of our webinars, even if you can't attend live, sign up because we will send you the whole bundle, usually by the next morning. Okay, so we'll record it for you. And if you have questions, hit the Q&A button. If you put it in the chat, we might see it. If you hit the Q&A button, I promise you we will see it and we will get to it. Okay, now let's talk about topic at hand. Donation forms. Jen Briganti, I'm going to have you help me with this first part. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so as I understand it, if you are a Razor's Edge or Blackbaud customer right now, you're looking at 4 different options if you want to put up a donation page. I want to give donors a chance to give money to my organization. It's going to be one of these 4, right? Okay.
Correct.
So let's run through what we're looking at. Net Community, as I understand it, if you're using Net Community, you're probably wearing this shirt right here, right? From our good friend. Who's this from, Andy?
Carlene.
Carlene's probably on here. Shout out to Carlene.
She is here today. I see her, yeah.
Carlene, drop a link in the chat. Carlene started off as a database administrator. Now she is an apparel maven in that I think she makes all of her money throughout the year on selling these Pride Database View for my Cold Dead Hands t-shirts. So Net Community, tell me what is this product, Jen? Like who's using Net Community right now?
Net Community, I think, is one of those things where, our good old RE7 users that don't want to let go of database view are still on Net Community, one of the, first kind of online giving products that Razor's Edge had. And so at some point it will go away. So that's why we're here today to kind of talk about some of the other options.
Bad news for the Net Community fans here today. So, and Andy, am I correct? Did Net Community, wasn't it also like a website build? It was like more, it was kind of a
yeah, it was kind of the original marketing tool, right? So when we think about NXT marketing now with email and kind of donation forms and those kinds of things, it was the OG, the original, kind of platform in which Razor's Edge had to create donation forms and do some of the email marketing and those kinds of things as well.
Yep, got it. Okay, so if you're on Net Community, spoiler alert, that product will not be around forever. Donation forms
Candy looks like Candy had in the chat here. Candy had a funeral yesterday for Blackbaud Net Community, so probably still wearing black today and grieving a little bit, but welcome to the world.
They closed it down yesterday, and today they're like, "Oh man, we got to get some donation pages back up. We got the money stopped coming in." Okay, so if you're still on Razor's Edge 7 Net Community, it's an option. We're not going to talk to it a bunch, other than to say you should pay attention to the rest of this webinar because we're going to talk about what you can go to when you turn off the Net Community. Okay. Speaking of legacy products, but a little bit less so, we've got Online Express, right? OLX. Jen, what is OLX?
Yes, beloved Online Express. So most of the Razor's Edge 7 users and old database view users are probably still, many of them on Online Express. It's a tried and true product, really good pledge functionality. It integrates really well with Razor's Edge in terms of batching, and there's definitely the email marketing and some of the event form compatibility as well. So it's been a really popular product and a tried and true one. And it is hard to let it go because of those pledges. I know now they're live in NXT, but this has kind of been the main holdout in trying to get people onto the NXT forms because we don't want to let our pledge forms go.
Yeah, and we have, so PSG, we still manage this. It's not unusual for someone to be on OLX, right? We have lots of clients that are still using OLX. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Many on this call, some names I've been trying to convert for well over a year to NXT, and they're still holding hope.
So we have clients that are just on OLX, but then we have many, I think, that we're using that have gone over to the new NXT forms that we're going to talk about, but they keep OLX up for a specific purpose, right? So tell me about, Jen, tell me about pledge functionality and why OLX was the choice there.
Yep. So it has really great functionality with being able to build out, how many installments you wanted. If you want to limit and say, I want those installments to be paid off in 4 months or 6 months or 18 months, there's a lot of flexibility there. So it's just really great for those organizations that want to have that robust pledge program and get the data in the way that they need it to for pledges.
Yeah. So when Blackbaud rolled out the new NXT donation forms, it did not have pledging in them. So a lot of people either didn't go at all, or they're like, okay, that's fine for one-time givers, but we're going to stick with OLX as tried and true. It has all the flexibility we need for pledge functionality. But that has changed, right? So like NXT now has, am I hearing that correctly, Jen?
They have now rolled it out, and we have some other ninjas at PSG who have been using it for some of their clients. So they've unfortunately been the guinea pigs. So we've been getting a lot of feedback about how those new pledge functionality is working in the real world.
Yep.
So the consensus, as you have on the screen here, Nick, is that they don't work totally well yet. There are a lot of things that I think we're not so much of a fan of, with not being able to do adjustments and write-offs and things that are not so great. So I hate to be one of those holdouts with OLX, but the current functionality I'm seeing in NXT pledge forms, I actually had to recommend to one of the clients that we work with for PSG that we don't move to the pledge forms for this upcoming appeal because there's too many kinks that still need to be worked out.
Yep.
And I think it's important to know for the folks that are on or are thinking about it, or maybe on there and going like, I haven't had any issues. From our Ninja team, the struggles that we're having with the pledge functionality isn't in the accepting of the pledges. It's once that pledge is established, any variation of that pledge. So if you have a donor that makes a pledge kind of ahead of schedule, or makes a gift that they want applied to the pledge, you don't have the flexibility of applying that kind of outside gift into the established schedule. You essentially would have to recreate a new pledge and adjust the existing pledge down. So it's just not as clean, I guess I would say, as what OLX currently provides. I think that they'll get there. They're just not quite there yet.
Yep. So we're excited they added pledges, and we'll talk in detail about the NXT forms. Is it correct to say, Jen Briganti, regarding OLX, if you're using it right now, that's still fine? Some features are still better than what's available that you could switch to regarding pledges specifically. So don't stress out if you're on OLX right now, but it will be sunset, right? At some point with database view, like that train's coming down the tracks, right? That's what we've
Yes.
heard from Blackbaud.
Yes, it is. It is going to be going away. I mean, I know Blackbaud has said 2027 is when database view is going to go away. So kind of reading between the lines and assuming that that's when OLX will also go away as well. So it's good to at least have that in mind. But yes, I mean, we're going to be using OLX for the upcoming appeal for this year. And hopefully in a few months, they'll work out some of the kinks and we can switch everyone over.
Yeah. And again, we have a unique relationship with Blackbaud, being a huge user of theirs, but being somewhat software agnostic and not being responsible for it. They get a lot of punches fairly, right, for things that are half baked or that don't work the way they should. I do want to defend them on this in that people are screaming for pledges. They've rolled it out. They're getting feedback. It will get better, right? So I just saw a comment where like, oh, I wish they'd stop pushing out stuff that had some bugs in it. That's just the way software works, right? And I say that we have software products too. Like you roll stuff out, you get feedback, you fix it. It's just the time it takes to fix it. You hope is as short as possible. So we are giving Blackbaud the benefit of the doubt on this. We know their forms will get better. There's lots of stuff that's wonky. Believe me, we send them lists all the time on things that need to be better. But I understand the user's frustration, which is you just want something that works. You don't want to be a guinea pig, right? So hopefully they get all the wonkiness out in the early adopter programs. By the time it's in general release, you want it to be mostly baked, if not entirely baked. But for now, summarizing OLX before we get to the new forms, it's okay if you're on it. We understand if you're on it. And there's some other thing. I think somebody mentioned thermometers. There's other little widgety type things that OLX has that are good. But you need to start looking and seeing what's coming down the pipe, because at some point you're going to have to transition. Be better if you're fully aware before you do that.
Well, and I think as we get into the NXT forms, one of the things that we have certainly encouraged a lot of our clients to do is, if you're an organization that has an annual appeal that might get 5 or 10,000 gifts, don't start with that. Don't start with your annual appeal to use the new forms, right? Look at a smaller, like follow-up mailing or, something like that you can take a small segment of things to kind of test out the forms before you open it up, just so that the gift processing team can be comfortable with the new format and just kind of how things are going to work.
I wanted to say also, Nick, with OLX, if you're using those forms for recurring giving, that's definitely something that you could switch over to the NXT forms. Recurring gifts seem to process beautifully inside of NXT. The batches come through clean. There's really no issues in amending gifts. So that's if you have OLX forms set up just for recurring gifts, that could easily be converted into NXT. And if you have some manual gifts that you're processing through an EFT batch, you could go convert those to automated processing in NXT, and it will make your life so much easier.
Let's continue on that. So let's give credit where it's due. The new forms have some things, and I know Stacy and Austin have touched on that, but we've never dedicated a whole webinar to it. Let's walk through some of the, like what are the benefits. So the new NXT standard form, walk me through it. So I'm told they're easier to build. Tell me about matching logic. Tell me about EFT stuff here.
Yes, so the forms, honestly, the standard forms are really similar to how OLX is set up. You go through and fill out a lot of the same information. And it's a little bit more intuitive and kind of pretty, more to to look at than kind of the old database view format. So building them and setting them up is really easy. The matching logic, I know, has been a concern whenever the forms first rolled out. They didn't have good matching logic, so everything that came in was pretty much created as a duplicate, which created a lot of back-end work for the database administrators. The new matching logic, which I know is you guys will get to later in the webinar too in more detail, but it really has improved, and you have more flexibility in how much you want the system to match for you. And so there's a good middle ground where it will match what it can find, and then you go and manually review what doesn't match. And you can get through that matching really quick. I think it's maybe even faster than the OLX matching. And so I'm a huge fan of the new matching. I think it works beautifully. We don't have any duplicates that get created unless there's just people are entering things, at different name formats, different emails, and we just don't have information to match on. But if there's information there, we probably 99% of the time are able to match.
And I want to emphasize that because I guarantee you, of the hundreds of people on this, that is news to them, right? Because it gets stuck in people's heads. So when it first came out, it was, oh no, I'm sticking with OLX. It's easier to match. Like this NXT, it's taking forever. Like that is no longer the case. So like PSG processes more gifts, I think, than probably anyone on this call. And our team is telling you what Jen just said. Like it is better now. They've improved it. The matching is much better in NXT.
Yes.
So
Yes.
want to emphasize that because I know that's counterintuitive. A lot of people are coming here with the pitchforks, ready to complain about matching. They have gotten better at it. And Lauren's actually going to walk us through some of that in a little bit here. Um,
The one exception to that I will say is the events. So if you're using, the event registrations, some of those are still kind of coming through the cracks. And so
yes,
it sounds like the development teams, the whoever's working on the event module and the registration forms is not the same team that's doing the giving forms. And so that matching logic hasn't yet transferred over to the event
yep.
registration. So you will still see it there. But in
The
terms of
educate
the giving
events,
forms,
tributes too, right?
yes, tributes
Yeah,
I think is still falling in that same problem
yep,
category.
yep. So core stuff is getting, and the reason I bring it up too is because I know that we've beaten up on Blackbaud in the past for it when it first came out. Credit where it's due, they've gotten better at. Like for the bulk of it, it's gotten better. Event stuff, tribute stuff, it will get better. It's not there yet. So don't let the duplicate matching thing hold you off from NXT forms because that is not the reality that it was 6 months ago.
For sure.
Lauren, what do we mean that gift processors can finally go on vacation? That makes me a little bit nervous.
I worked in gift processing for years and years and years, and I actually still do some gift processing for some of our clients. And for those of you specifically who ran your recurring gifts on the 5th, 10th, 15th, or 20th, or maybe you ran them on multiple days because you gave donors options or you processed credit cards one day, direct debits on another, meant you never really got to go on vacation because you had to process your OLX gifts as they came in because EFT or direct debit gifts would not get processed until you imported them, matched them, did all the things, put them in a batch. What I love about an NXT form is that the gifts that you get have already been processed. So you've already, by the time you are approving a batch, it has hit the credit card, it has hit the bank account, and has come through to you. Now, obviously, things bounce, whatever, but that's going to happen anywhere. You figure that out later. But the first gift has been processed. In 2011, I went to Rome for a week and processed gifts in the middle of the night because I was gone on the 15th. And I was in a small nonprofit and I was the only one who did it. Not cool. That was
Yeah,
very much not cool. And now that doesn't need to be the case. Gifts process, and then I can come in and hit them whenever I'm back in the office. The same is true for recurring gifts. I don't have to push the button. I don't have to load the batch for recurring gifts that were made or have been automated through NXT. Those are processed on the 15th, on the 10th, on the 5th, on the 20th, whatever day they need to be processed. And I come in when I'm back from vacation and my jet lag and approve all the batches, and donors never know.
awesome.
So
We love it.
Couple critical things there, Nick. I want to point out because we've seen some. I mean, in the work that we do, we've seen some stuff, and generally people don't call us.
oh no.
Uh-oh. I was panicking that it was me.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to circle back with Andy on that. So you can go on vacation. It's a big win. NXT does more things automatically. Credit to the team over there. I think Sam may even be on this call, who's been working on donation forms for a long time with Blackbaud. Pledge functionality, it doesn't work properly. Lauren or Jen, can you just speak to briefly what are the things that are still wonky about the pledges on the forms?
I'll let Lauren take that one.
We've just noticed having some problems with um, gifts that are donors who act like donors. Like I got some extra
Right.
money, I want to
Well said.
pay a little early, and it doesn't let us apply an extra payment. I made a pledge accidentally for $107, and no, I'm just going to pay 115 and let it get paid off earlier. That doesn't work. It breaks everything
The
intentionally.
admit
So we're having to make adjustments that auditors would not love.
Right. So internal, which is a normal process, right? Like you get the functionality down, then you work on the in-house, inward-facing stuff. So they're still working on things there. It will get better. I'm confident. I guess I can't say with certainty, but I'm very confident it will get better. They don't want it to be wonky. They want it to work as smoothly as possible because they're moving people over from OLX. Um, Tributes, same thing administratively. It's the administering, and people even brought it up in the chat, so people are aware it's not there yet. So if you have forms, you're getting a ton of tributes, you're getting a ton of pledges. It's okay to stick around on OLX for a while longer. Let's let the things sort themselves out. But if you've been holding off going to NXT because you're worried about matching and duplicates, that concern is gone away. if you have never been able to take a vacation, NXT forms are for you, right? Just the automated nature of things that you don't have to click the button to run things is certainly improved. Okay. So we talked through that. What about this one? I don't know what this means. What it says can't use batch defaults.
So gifts that come in through an NXT form have to be processed in NXT, in the unified view, in web view, call it what you want. You can't do it in database view. So if you, now, to be fair, in OLX, you can apply some defaults because they were already applied if you didn't check all the right buttons. So I don't want to pretend that everything works awesome there. But you can add a letter code. You cannot, trying to think what else I like to do in a database view batch. What else can't you do, Jennifer? You can't add a letter code. You can't default an attribute.
Apply
Those sorts of
membership,
things.
gift
Yeah.
subtypes.
So
The crowd
gift
is
subtypes
pulling the
is
phone.
a big one for a lot of our clients.
Yeah,
So
any of
that
those
is
WYSI
a problem.
defaults that you would like to pull in to your specific use case, can't do
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So
we have worked out some tricks with our automation crew for some constituent defaults we can apply, but I don't think we can do them to gifts yet. It's just not available.
yeah. Okay. Want to highlight a couple other things, and then we're going to start talking about like donor cover, complete cover, the thing that people have lots of questions on that as well. Two optional features that you can turn on and off. Jen or Lauren, you can take this. Recurring gift upsell, what is that?
So recurring gift upsell is when if you have the form, set to a cash gift and you go online, you say, okay, I want to give $50 and you fill out your information, a little pop-up will appear and it'll ask you if you want to convert your gift to a recurring gift. So it's a way to try and, increase your recurring gift donor base.
Yep. And I imagine Blackbaud's doing, so that's a feature that's become pretty commonplace on other standalone. Like if you don't use BBMS or Blackbaud donation forms and you're using one of the others, that's one of the widgets and innovations that's happening out there. So I think they're probably, looking to get on par with other ones that do a good job with that. And then intelligent ask, I'll actually take this one if that's okay. So intelligent ask is a feature that's going to come up on this optimized form as well. We get asked about this a bunch too, because we years and years ago came up with a project called Ask Genius, which I think many of the folks on this call actually use Ask Genius, but I get asked about it enough. I want to do a comparison just to show people what each one is used for, because really they're used for two different things, but they're similar. Okay, so they're like same font, different, same type, different font. Is that what my teenage daughter says all the time? Okay, intelligent ask is working on this. So you set up a donation page and it will tweak, Lauren, am I correct? It will tweak the amounts that are being presented to the donor, right? That is what intelligent ask is doing. It's trying to optimize and raise you a little bit more money based on what it knows about the donor.
You pick a high and a low, I think.
You pick a high and a low and then it fills it in and it can adjust things on the fly. You're giving Blackbaud permission to adjust your ask amounts on your donation form. Ask Genius is the same thing, kind of on steroids, right? So we did this, it's largely for direct mail. If you're going to send out 10,000 pieces of mail and you want to know what's the right ask string to put on everybody's pledge cards, that's what Ask Genius does. And what most of the people on this call use it for is to create ask strings at scale, right? Give you the ability to ask the right amount to everyone on your list. Now, intelligent ask, it's limited by what it can be based on, right? Because if your donor just wanders onto your donation page, the donation form doesn't know who they are. So the things it can tell, and this is us pulling back the curtain a bit here, it can tell whether it's an Android or an Apple. We've gotten into this fight before on webinars. Obviously, Android is best. We have some people that disagree. So it can tell which phone you're on, and then it can be like, oh, iPhone users, let's charge them an extra $5. It can tell where you're at based on roughly on your IP address, or if you use a VPN, that kind of spoils it, but it can tell that. And it can tell what time it is that you're visiting. I mean, those are the things that those are the inputs that it has access to. So I just want to manage expectations around intelligent ask. If it raises you more money because it can present higher ask amounts to Androids or iPhones or something like that, I think that's great. I just want to be clear, it has nothing to do with who your donors are. It doesn't know who your donor is when it goes to your donation page. Ask Genius, for those of you that use it, it's based on a ton of actual data of that donor, right? So we're looking at their giving history, we're looking at their largest gift, we're looking at target analytics and all great products from Blackbaud to set that ask amount. The question we get all the time is, can you marry those two together? We are working on it. We've had great conversations with Blackbaud. Yes, you can take Ask Genius ask amounts and pass it through to a donation form. So Jen, I send you a mailing and it starts with $175. I can then send you a link to donate and it matches what you got in the mail. But that's outside of Blackbaud. That's if you're using like Give Central or Virtuous or one of the other partners that lets you pass through ask amounts. Blackbaud isn't there yet. They don't let you pass through amounts. We've had good talks with them. We think we'll get to that point. But as of right now, you're left with this sort of stripped down thing, which is intelligent ask, right? You can adjust, you can play around the edges, but it's going to be based on, again, just that sort of anonymous user data. What time is it? Where's their IP address? Apple or iPhone or desktop. Okay. So I wanted to cover that quickly. Last form, NXT optimized form. Let's do this in short order, and then we'll spend the next half hour here talking about the really interesting stuff on donor cover. What is, Jen Briganti, the optimized form?
This is the one that I would say is probably kind of designed to compete with all the other type of like online giving platforms that are out there that have really slick giving forms. So it's going to capture the least amount of donor information so that they can process and get them to go through the process and complete the gift as fast as possible. You can do, customize, branding and really make it, look pretty for the donor. Not so great, I guess, on the database side because you can allow it to not accept a lot of information. So you may just get an email address for, a person. But the flip side of that is it has a higher conversion rate.
Yep. So we can tell who has more authority in your organization by if you're using the optimized form or not. So if you are a database run organization, you're going to use the regular form, which collects lots of information. If it's just frontline fundraisers, they're of course going to want streamlined, beautiful all day. But this is typical. Like this wouldn't be your primary donation page, right? This would be you're having an event, you're having a gala, you have something like you want to be quick and painless, more of a widget style thing. And then Lauren, did I read correctly? It uses intelligent ask, and that's actually mandated. That's not like a turn on or off. It does it on its own.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So those are your options. So you could be on Net Community. That's going to be going away. Many people are still in OLX. That's fine. That's normal. There's some better functionality in OLX that we think NXT will get there, but it's okay to stay where you are for pledges and tributes and things like that. For matching, for recurring gifts, for automatic stuff, you want to go to NXT now. It's better. NXT forms we've talked through, and optimized forms are sort of the streamlined, more beautiful widgety type thing. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get through all of them. We have a bunch of them in there right now, but make sure to type your question into the Q&A, and we'll get to it. And now, Lauren, I'm going to ask you to take the lead here. I'm going to walk through what I know about the transaction fee question, and then you're going to tell me what I'm messing up or what is correct, okay?
Buckle up, people. Buckle up.
Hot topic. The hot topic if you've been a Razor's Edge user for a while now. So Blackbaud has two options. So the question on the table is, I want to let my donors pay credit card fees, right? They're going to pay, can they pay the transaction fee? How do I do that? And in fact, I got an email this morning from someone I never met that said, hey, I saw you're doing a webinar. I was wondering, how can I let donors pay transaction fees? I said, great, come to the webinar. We're going to talk about exactly that. There are two options from Blackbaud as I understand it. There's donor cover and there's complete cover, okay? In both cases, you choose whether to turn it on. So Lauren, this is at the form level, right? So if I'm an organization, I can set up one form with nothing. I can set up one form and turn on donor cover. I can set another form, turn on complete cover, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you are in charge. So none of this is forced on you. You get all the control. If you turn it on, then it becomes an opt-out for the donor. So Lauren creates a donation form. She turns on donor cover, and we're going to talk through the details. The experience for the donor is they go to that donation page, they make their gift. That box is already checked that says, I want to give X amount more. The donor would have to uncheck it.
Correct.
Still correct? All right. So how it works on donor cover, if a donor covers the transaction fee, you save money. That's the premise of donor cover. That is the baseline that we all have in our heads of, I want to give the option for the donor to pay the transaction fee. They do it, great. I don't have to pay it. Okay. So if the donor pays it, you don't have to. If they choose not to, if they uncheck that box, then you're going to pay the transaction fee. Okay. That's how donor cover works. Pretty common with some wrinkles. Complete cover. Or if you turn on complete cover, all the gifts that come through there, your organization doesn't pay any transaction fees. If somebody donates $100, you're getting $100 regardless of what the donor checks or unchecks, right? It's donor cover, it's complete cover. Blackbaud is making a promise to you that you are going to get every dollar of the original gift that is intended. Okay. That sounds like an amazing deal. I can see why a lot of people are excited by that. You have to read the fine print though and understand what's actually happening so you can make an intelligent decision on what's right for you. Okay.
Yep.
So donor cover, you may have some people pay transaction fees, you may have some that don't. Complete cover, all the transaction fees are covered. Here's that next step though, okay? On donor cover, if the donor doesn't opt out, this is what happens. The donor will pay 3.95%, sorry, 3%, 3.95% plus 30 cents on top of the original gift. And we're going to use an exact example, so we'll put real numbers in front of you, okay? Donor cover, common 3%-ish transaction fee. They can opt in or out. That's what they're going to pay. On complete cover, if you turned it on, if the donor does not opt out of complete cover, they are going to pay an additional 9 to 10% on top of that original gift, although it maxes out at 3,000. Lauren, did I say that right?
Correct. At 3,000, it switches over to donor cover regardless. It just
Oh,
tells, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you can see now why Blackbaud is willing to tell you we'll cover all the transaction fees because they're putting in front of donors a 9 to 10%, a much higher transaction fee, but it's not labeled a transaction fee, right? So that's I assume they know that some people will say yes, I'll pay that. Many more will probably say I'm not going to pay that, and that they're going to net out, the difference. Okay. So donor cover 3.95% plus 30 cents. Complete cover, it's going to be 9 to 10%. Now, Lauren, that's not written anywhere, right? Like it really could be anything that they're putting in front of them, but we keep trying it.
Yes. The 9 to 10 is an average. It can go higher, it can go lower. When they started complete cover, donors could choose a percentage, and now they cannot. It's just, do you want to give an extra this dollars?
So complete cover is a solution for Blackbaud. It's like an easy button. It's like if you never want to pay a transaction fee, turn this thing on and we're going to handle it from there. And then what they're going to do is put an extra number in front of the donor that you're not responsible for, you're not in control of. Okay.
I actually think an easy button is a good way to say it. It's an easy button and you can't have any input on it. Like, we've handled it, and the cost of that is we're giving you all the fees.
Yes, it's binary. There's no adjustments. So let's dig in a little bit deeper, right? So on donor cover, you can see. So the traditional donor cover, you can see which donors covered the fees, how much they're charged, right? You get a report on that. On complete cover, you have no idea, right? You're saying Blackbaud's going to give me the full amount of every gift, and then they're going to add on an extra amount, which in our research averages 9 to 10%. But we have no idea who paid that, right, Lauren?
We don't know how much they paid. We do see paid if you try and change it, which we can talk about in a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There's ways we
We
can wiggle
can't
around.
see the amount.
You're not getting a report that says this person made a gift of
No.
$1,000 and an extra $90 on top of it. Okay. So let's do it with real numbers here. And remember, when you have questions, I know because it's been lighting up now, people, this is a hot topic, hit it in the Q&A button. So Lauren gets out a crisp $10 bill from her digital wallet and makes a gift. Okay. This is what it looks like. So donor cover, it's going to look like that on the left. And we'll go in detail here. Complete covers on the right. We'll talk about the language here. So donor cover, your $10 gift becomes $10.67. Okay. That's your gift plus that 3.95% plus 30 cents. That is what you're paying. Okay. And we'll talk about tax deductibility in a second. On complete cover, you made that $10 gift, and then it had the extra, in this case, 9% for processing support. So you end up paying $10.90. Okay. That is what it looks like. Those are actual gifts made. That's actual language that gets, put up on the screen. Let's zoom in on what it tells the donor. So on complete cover, it looks like this. The box that you have put on there, when you turn on donor cover, you're essentially checking this box for everyone that goes to that page, unless they uncheck it. It says cover the processing fee, so 100% of my donation goes to the organization. Very typical, right? This is language you see on a whole lot of donation forms, no matter who the provider is. And Lauren, that is tax deductible, correct?
Yes, because it's just an increased donation that I can do as an organization. I can do with it whatever I want.
Yep. So it is deductible. It goes to the organization. Complete cover reads a little different, right? It says this platform is powered by Blackbaud at reduced cost to us, the organization. Contribute 9% to them, to Blackbaud, right, to continue the support. That is not tax deductible, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That is a payment to a for-profit organization like Walmart or authorized.net or whatever.
Yep. Got it. So I'm sure people can understand where this is going. But I wanted to use the word hubbub because that's the first time I've been able to put that on a slide, and we've been doing webinars for I think 5 years. So, Lauren, given all this, let's talk to what was all the hubbub about each of these, right? So if you're on any of the forums, you know that this is a sensitive topic to a whole lot of people. For donor cover, tell me if I'm correct in analyzing the hubbub. 3.95% plus 30 is what's getting charged no matter what. What I put on the screen is Blackbaud's posted rates for BBMS, right? I think as of yesterday when I put the slides together. So they're basically charging the Amex rate. And if you know a lot about this, Amex charges a higher rate, Visa, MasterCard is a little bit lower, ACH and debit is lower. So you might be used to getting different rates and fees depending on what the donor does. Blackbaud is charging you the highest rate, the Amex, a little bit higher than Amex rate, regardless of what's coming in, right? Regardless of whether the person is doing direct debit or Visa or anything else. If you're using donor cover, they're charging that higher rate and they are keeping the difference. Like, so if somebody does a debit, normally they'd be charged a lower transaction fee, but in this case, they're getting that 3.95 plus 30 no matter what, and Blackbaud is keeping the difference. Is that right?
Correct.
That was not always the case.
Correct.
So why
They
do they
used to just charge us this much for, or you can't see me moving my cursor. No one can. They used to charge it 2 Visa rate. They used to charge a Visa rate for a Visa card, Discover rate for a Discover card, an Amex rate for an Amex card.
Yeah.
And they paid you, they charged the donor that. They presented that amount to the donor. And then they gave you everything extra that the donor gave. Now they charge the donor the highest rate, which is currently an Amex, anywhere between 3.5 and 3.95, and they charge the donor that on every card, and they give you what you paid. So if I pay with a Visa, my fee may, I'm not doing actual math. This is not actual math. My fee may only be 50 cents. But Blackbaud is going to keep the 17 cents and not send it back to me.
Yep. Okay. So if people have questions about that, the outrage, I believe, is when Blackbaud changed it. They used to not just charge the maximum and keep it. They used to vary the rate based on the card that the donor used, how they did it. When they announced it to folks, if I can put my PR hat on, it was a terrible way that they rolled it out. If I can just be candid, I know we have Blackbaud people on here. I know that they don't disagree. The message that went out to all the customers was, hey, we're doing this special thing and it's to make life simpler for you, right? It was a very condescending message, which was great news, everybody. We're going to make it so much simpler. You don't have to do math anymore. And what they were announcing was, we are going to charge a higher rate and we are going to keep more money. But it was presented in a way that was very condescending to a lot of customers. I know that because my email blew up and I still get messages about it today, right? People are like, I can't believe. And I think it was less about what they were charging because, to be honest, Blackbaud's not that far off from what other organizations charge if you're doing an independent third party, donor processing. It wasn't that. It was the rollout of it and the fact that they didn't always charge at higher rate. They used to be able to get a better deal as an organization, but then they changed it. And in the process of changing it, it was like, it was assuming that nobody would notice what was happening, right? Like, hey, great news, you don't have to do math anymore, everybody. In reality, every single person that got that notice is like, what the hell is going on? Like, you're treating me like I'm an idiot, you're taking more money, and you're telling me it's better for me. Like, so that is what's going on with donor cover. I would say, in summary, it's fairly typical with what we see with other, online processing vendors that you can use. Might be a little bit higher in some, might be a little bit lower in others. You can turn on or off. Donors are going to be used to it. No one's going to freak out. Complete cover hubbub. Okay, so moving on to the other one. A little bit larger scale hubbub that we've seen from using this for organizations. Two things.
Yes.
Number one is that you have no idea what donors are paying to Blackbaud. Andy, is that right?
That is correct. So all we're going to get is the gift amount, and we don't know if it was 9%, if it was 10%, if it was 12 or 15%. We have no idea.
Right, which makes people nervous, right? So if you're an organization that you value more than anything, getting that full $10 and not paying attention to transaction fees, you're going to turn it on. But if you're one that values knowledge and information about what all is happening to your donors, you're going to freak out about the idea that they might be asked to give larger amounts that you have no visibility into.
And particularly, yeah, it's important because we don't know, we can't acknowledge and thank them for what we don't know, right? So we're still sending them a $10 acknowledgement, even if they made a $15 transaction, and
Right.
then they get mad that we didn't acknowledge $15, we only acknowledged 10.
And Lauren, this is a fairly frequent occurrence that we get, right? When PSG turns on donor or complete cover, sorry, it's not uncommon for us to get people reaching out, and I think it's for the so one, the donor's like, hey, in this scenario, I gave $1,000, your acknowledgement only said, or sorry, I gave 1,090, your acknowledgement only said 1,000. Number one. Number two, you have donors that see that on the screen and think this organization is gouging me. Like
You are
I'm
terrible stewards of my money. Why are you paying?
right,
9% in processing
right,
fees.
because that is the typical donor cares about that. Like we get
Yeah.
angry letters because the letter was 2 pages instead of 1. How dare you waste treat? I mean, people care about nonprofits stewarding money, right? And we can make light of it, but there's a serious concern there. When a donor who knows a thing or two sees a 9% transaction fee, they either think they're getting honked by the nonprofit, right? Like you or the nonprofit are doing this to me, that's crazy. Or worse, they think you're run by idiots and they think that you're getting honked by a vendor, right? Like we get those calls all the time, and it generally leads to, I demand that such and such organization that you talk to my banker or this other, I'm in this business, like I can get you a better deal than this, right? It's just all of these conversations are coming up because they think that you have agreed to pay 9% on everything, right? That's not ideal. So that's, again, there are uses for this complete cover. If you just absolutely always want to get the full $10, right? Or the full $100 or whatever, and not think about it, it can be a good solution for you. For us in larger organizations, sophisticated organization, it has been a wild ride, right? To encounter what donors feel when they see this thing happen, right?
And I'll also say, somebody else mentioned, I don't remember if it was Chad or the question. There have been a couple instances where like a donor calls and wants to adjust their recurring gift either up or down, and we can't do it on our end because complete cover is attached or donor cover is attached. So you really got to be mindful of those things because you don't always know them until they happen. So read all the documentation before you make a choice. We're
Yep.
not covering all the details. We
Yep.
cover a lot of them, but read the documentation before you make a choice.
There was
Okay.
also a question in the chat about just the My Organization Pays option, which is still an option. So yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't want to offer the ability for your donor to cover any fees, you can still do that, and your organization will pay 100% of the processing fees.
And I know we're short on time, but I've been biting my tongue a long time. Do that.
Yeah. All right. So I got to move quick. I took a long time just because people are confused by donor cover, complete cover. I wanted to make sure that we gave it a lot of room to marinate and really slowly walk through the pros and cons, like what it looks like. I'm going to speed run through some slides because I want to get to the Q&A now. Okay. So Lauren, I'm going to punt on this, but I want to keep it in the slides because people are going to download these. So this is what a report looks like. You can see what it looks like with complete cover, donor cover. If you have questions, ping us and we can walk it through. But I know
This is BBMS.
BBMS. You're inside of BBMS. That's what the report looks like. Pro tip, I have to give a plug to Austin and Stacy, who hopefully are diligently working on automations right now and not listening to us. Use automation. So like that BBMS report there, use automation. Have that sent to you every day, right? Or if you're a database administrator and people are always asking for gift reports and summaries and stuff, that's what Automate Genius does. You can send it through email. You can send stuff through Teams. You can send donors emails drafted for your major gift officers to send. That looks something like this, right? Imagine you're a frontline fundraiser, your major gift officer opens up his laptop, gets this note of all the fun stuff that happened overnight. That major gift officer can click on one of those message prompts. Like in this case, maybe somebody just joined the President's Circle and it opens up an email for that major gift officer to send to the donor. Tons of webinars on this. You can sign up for a demo of Automate Genius to learn more about it, but I did want to plug it because all this does kind of go hand in hand. Online data review, Lauren, in 30 seconds is the answer that this is a cool new feature of NXT and we want to applaud Blackbaud for it.
Yes, it's much, much better. It works similarly. It looks different, obviously, but it works similarly to what happens in OLX. And in this case, you can see that I made everything the same, but my email address is incorrect, so it didn't match. But I can search for me by my name or by my address. And if I don't show up, you can create a new individual right from there.
And there were a couple of questions in the chat about matching to spouses in terms of households. So that's the area where you would do that.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to reserve the last 3 minutes because we have all sorts of fun stuff coming up that I want to make sure to plug. But I just wanted to pause, get everybody on the screen, and walk through some of the questions that people have, because that's the biggest value that we give people. We've given you the overview. Jen, is there one specifically that you've seen that you want to tackle before I start to kind of speed read these live? Or I can just
You're
dive.
muted.
You're muted, Jen.
I've been trying to
Having our
answer the
rookie-
ones where I knew the answer to the question right away. So
Yep.
some of the ones that are in there, I didn't know 100% with certainty, so I didn't want to answer it.
All right, we're gonna do a speed round then, if that's all right. Okay. Cicely asks, have you explored or can you understand why when you turn on donor cover that the PayPal and Venmo options turn off? Lauren, Andy, do we know that?
Those are not Blackbaud charged fees. Those are PayPal and Venmo fees. So
Yep.
Blackbaud is not going to cover another for-profit org's fees.
Yep.
Got
That's
it.
fine.
Perfect answer. Accurate answer. Beverly asks, will they retry the failed gifts in a new batch?
Not automatically. You've got to push them through yourself. You have to approve the gift and then retry it on the record.
Got it.
Yeah, if you get the
Yep.
updated, card or bank information, then you can go back in and retry it. But it will keep processing as a $0 gift unless you go in and terminate the gift.
Got it. Melanie asked a question that makes me feel smart. Says, if Blackbaud keeps the difference under donor cover, is the whole amount tax deductible? I think we tackled this. Donor cover is taxed. Oh, no, I understand her question, right? If they're charging Amex, but the person used like a Visa debit, is it still all tax deductible?
Yes.
Yes, because you're getting
The whole 1067 in your example would be deductible, not just the $10.
Yep.
that keep the difference is a fee that we have to pay separately technically. So it is also tax deductible. Obviously, talk to your tax professional.
Always advice. Lawyers always say, I'm not giving you legal advice right now. Taxable on that donor cover, it's not. Lauren, do you want to use this moment to tell people that it's not a huge deal for an organization to pay transaction fees? And
Credit card fees are a cost of doing business, full
Yep.
stop.
Yep.
It costs you money to process a check. It likely costs you more money to process a check because a person has to do that, where you're paying a lockbox fee. And as a longtime gift processor, I got to tell you, my salary was not free. It wasn't much, but it wasn't free. And we got to
Yeah.
honor the work that people do. So
We
it
waited-
costs money to process a check too.
We waited 52 minutes to drop that bomb because everyone is coming to this webinar wanting to know how to get donors to pay transaction fees. And 52 minutes in, we're saying, stop obsessing about it, right? It costs you more as an organization to process checks, like it's a transactional cost. Like, don't make this into something bigger than what it is. It is not the end of the world if you have to pay transaction fees. Lauren, thank you for speaking up on that controversial topic. Nick asks, how do you see the fees the donor paid in the donor cover? How do you pull that into an acknowledgement letter?
When you set up your online form, the donation form, you have to have chosen a fund for the fees to go into. And when the gifts come in, they are split. The gift amount in the fund for that you have chosen or that the donor has chosen, and the fees go into the pre-selected
Fee fund.
fund for the other. It's kind of a mess, quite frankly. I hate a split gift. I know I shouldn't, but I do.
Got it.
Well, and Lauren, just isn't the challenge on there just because of what we've heard, right? So when you create kind of that what we typically call here as the fee fund, right? So the portion that's going to go there, you can't create necessarily multiple fee funds, right? So if you're an organization that has this option, but you process gifts for, athletics, if you're a school, athletics, and also the fine arts, and also kind of the annual fund and those kinds of things, those fees are all going to the same point. So like your accounting office is going to at some point have to get in there and slice and dice chargebacks and those kinds of things in a way that, again, there's still time involved in those.
And hot off the presses, somebody just said she thinks they may have just changed it, that you can make some changes there.
Yep.
Heather Fairbanks, everybody email Heather Fairbanks for more details, or just read it in.
We love Heather. Well known ninja around here. Thank you, Heather, for that. And
I know there's, oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, and we do the stuff cutting edge live, so stuff does change. Like as we're on the webinar, like we're trying to make sure you're understanding what's rolling out. So things change. Look into that on the split gifts thing. Sorry, Jen.
Oh, no, I was just going to say for one of the forms I know that we're using for one of the PSG clients where they are doing donor cover, the amount comes across just all into the one fund, and then accounting just pulls the reports out of BBMS and splits out the fees on their side.
Yep.
So we have options.
Yep. Excellent. Kristen says, will you talk through exact sample dollar amounts? I think yes, we did that. Oh no, I think this is the same thing. She's asked about funds and fees and stuff. I think we've covered that.
And yeah, and just in terms of how it's recorded in Razor's Edge. So the 1090 option, only the 10 is going to be recorded in Razor's Edge. The 1067 option, the 1067 is going to be recorded in Razor's Edge. Because again, we will know on the donor cover amount what is actually collected. We do not know that on the complete cover amount.
Yep. Melanie asked, can you use complete cover and not have the option visible for people to pay fees?
Wouldn't that be awesome? Not an option. If you're choosing complete cover, you are fully giving Blackbaud the ability to solicit the donor to cover, their processing support or whatever that might be. So that is not an option to hide that. If you're doing complete cover, you are agreeing to allow Blackbaud to solicit the donor for support.
Yeah.
So to that point about, I see a question about acknowledgements. So with donor cover, you would be able to pull that full amount into an acknowledgement letter versus with complete cover, you would not.
Correct.
Complete cover is a black box and murky. Donor cover is a pretty typical thing where you're just giving them the option to pay the transaction fee. With some wrinkles that is a little bit higher than what they might otherwise pay based on the card rate. Okay. I'm gonna let questions keep coming in. I want to highlight, I'm gonna reshare because we've got some amazing stuff coming up. We'll do this. All right. So what's coming up next? I want to plug this. Some folks are already aware of this. We've been talking about Blackbaud Ninjas for a long time, and it is now live at YouTube. We have a YouTube channel called Blackbaud Ninjas. You can see all of your favorite ninjas there, including Austin and Stacy and Lauren and many more. If you have not yet subscribed, go subscribe. What we're going to do, so we always do these long form interactive webinars, which I know are a hit because I constantly get people emailing just saying, thank you so much. It's exactly what we needed. We'll always do these long form webinars, meaty topics, but for smaller stuff, right? People want to know, how do I split a gift, right? How do I do a soft credit? How do I do XYZ that are more fit for like short form video? That's what we're doing through Blackbaud Ninjas. We're also putting some of our long form stuff in there. But the idea is we just want to, we're done waiting for the perfect customer support to exist. So we're just creating it, right? And some of it's gonna be user generated too, but we're just working really hard to give anyone that's inside of Razor's Edge exactly what we wish we would have had when we started out. So that's what Blackbaud Ninja is. Please go there. I'm sure Rob can drop the link in the chat if he hasn't already. Subscribe and you'll get a notice anytime we post a new video. We will open that up to people that want to help create content for the community that we're part of here. We're all database nerds working and toiling in the mines to make our lives a little bit more bearable. So that's coming up. It's live right now. Also, can you believe it is BBCon time again? So coming up in October, Andy, do you know what October 2nd is?
Yeah, I do. Actually, it's a very special day for you, right?
Very
the day
special.
that you were born.
Very special day. Yep.
Came into the world.
Big birthday this year. We are going to do our third annual, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it is. Third.
On preview. So sign up for that. We can put the link here in. I think that page is live. If not, we'll include it in the wrap-up notes. But that's always, so if you're going to BBCon, you have to watch this preview. It will talk to you about travel, how to get from the airport to the conference, what to go to. Stacy is going to comb through the hundreds of sessions and tell you which ones are going to be good and which ones are going to be terrible. I'm just kidding. She'll never tell you which ones are terrible. She's the nicest person I've ever met. She'll only tell you positive things about ones that you should check out. But that is coming up. I wanted to plug that, and we'll have some more webinars coming after that. Andy, did I forget anything about why the preview?
No, I will tell you what to eat while you're there, because I love food, and as important as BBCon is, so is food, and so I will bring the food Rex.
Yes, yes. Food recommendations, travel recommendations, session recommendations.
Kava.
It's always going to be kava.
So one of the things I do want to mention to you with the Blackbaud Ninjas, obviously we want you to go on and subscribe. There were some people that were commenting about, different PSG swag and those kinds of things. One of the things we talked about when we were in Omaha last week, kind of meeting as a group, there eventually will be contests and things. So an opportunity as you subscribe to those, as you're commenting on those videos and kind of helping us generate awareness and kind of building up that platform, there may be opportunities to get the We Drink Data PSG shirts, or some of these other amazing things that we have. I've got the Austin bobblehead here behind me. So just kind of pay attention to that as well, right? Use it for useful stuff, but also potentially the opportunity to win future PSG swag.
Excellent. Okay. Ending right on time. So Lauren and Jen, thank you so much. This was a technical topic today, but one that everybody in the world is interested in. I know that this recording is going to be watched a ton, right? As people start, especially once word comes down and things are getting sunset, everyone's going to jump to this webinar. So for future people watching this, it was nice to be with you here in the heat of July as you watch this in December with the fireplace roaring. So thank you all for being a part of this. We love our audience. Subscribe to our newsletter and you'll hear about all the upcoming webinars. We've got lots of good stuff coming up. We appreciate you all. Lauren and Jen, go grab some lunch, and we'll see you all later. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.